DJ Vlad tries to reason and talk some sense into Dank Demoss about this whole Lyft driver lawsuit incident, whatever you want to call it. Part 2. DJ Vlad, once again in this part 2, tries to give reasoning to this man refusing Dank Demoss that rideshare that evening that she posted on IG and had everybody in an uproar. Of course, the plus size community. He tried to explain to her that the whole contract deal and how this guy works for Lyft but doesn't work for Lyft is not really complicated, but he'll explain it in a way that all of us can understand and you probably already understand. And at the end of this, well, she's going to see how she sees it, all right? And this is, of course, female reasoning. No problem with that. But I want you to listen in. This is a thumbnail up here because DJ Vlad will give everyone a copyright strike if they actually play the video and react to his content. So this is a thumbnail. You will hear the audio, all right? So for all of you, stop playing the video ninjas. For all of you, why you can't play the video ninjas,
use your common sense.
A link will be in the description box that you can watch this without my commentary or criticism or interruption, all right? If you're still here, thank you very much for your viewership. And before we get into the reaction, fair use.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. Now, the driver, was he basically banned from using Lyft after that?
I don't know what happened to the driver. I'm pretty sure he still has his job because I didn't reach out to Lyft. I didn't tell on the driver. So a lot of people were saying you got him fired and stuff like that. And that's not the case. That's.
Well, good for him. Because he didn't deserve to lose his job. He does not deserve to lose his job because you decided one day that you were going to be hurt by somebody refusing your ride. Again, like I said in my last video, for obvious reasons. He saw you walking up. He politely said, I will call you another Uber XL, but you can't ride with me for obvious reasons. My car, this is probably his only source of income. He has to protect his investment. And with you being in the ride is going to be a huge liability for his 4 wheels. So, yeah.
Making stuff up, so... I don't know what happened to him. I hope that he is still doing what he was doing before he met me.
Sure about that?
I wish nothing but the best for him.
That's why you put it on social media?
I actually looked it up, and I guess the driver is still working for Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing.
He is.
I guess the question I'm asking is this. When you work for Lyft or Uber or Postmates or whatever else, you are an independent contractor. You're not actually an employee of Lyft. So as an independent contractor, Lyft is not responsible for what it is that you do. It's not.
Now see there, he's trying to explain here, break this down. Like, look, Lyft is the major company, right? But because they don't have direct employees, the Lyft driver is essentially a subcontractor of Lyft, right? So whatever happens to his car is his responsibility. Lyft only pays him the money to get people A and B. You're basically representing Lyft in a sense, but all the expenses is on the individual employee, quote unquote. And so he essentially had the right to refuse you because, again, this is his car, and if anything happens to it, it's on him. Lyft's not going to pay for his repair for his car. They're not going to pay for anything that happens to his wheels, if he has any kind of malfunctions. But she doesn't really care about that.
Lyft turned you down. This driver turned you down. Lyft had nothing to do with this particular situation. So why are you suing Lyft and not the driver?
Because they allowed him to drive for them in their services.
They allow everyone to drive who has a proper car and a driver's license.
Yeah, but as you see, his car, I don't know, he was.
She didn't sue the driver because the driver ain't got no money. That's why. That's simple. She didn't sue Lyft she didn't sue the driver because what is he going to give her?
Make more money, darling.
He's going to give her a broke down Mercedes? No, that's probably the bulk of what he has to his name. So maybe his family, if he has one, kids, You know, a small house maybe that she probably doesn't own, it probably rents. So of course, somebody got in her ear and said, you know what? Sue Lyft. Because even though by the explanation that DJ Vlad gave, Lyft isn't responsible for his decisions, he still technically works for Lyft, right? He might be a subcontract. He might not work directly for Lyft, but he's still affiliated with them. And so therefore, guess what, Lyft? It's your fault. If you've made it this far in the video and you're still here, thank you again for your viewership. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell that way you can be notified whenever I go live or drop new content. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, please do so by hitting the Cash App $ Mr. Normie. And you can also go to my Ko-Fi page, ko-fi.com/workingmanmg. Also, I'm trying to build a community on Locals. So if you would, go please check out my Locals page and you can join for just $5 a month. You can post and we can build a community of like-minded working men over there. Thank you for your time. Now back to the video.
Complaining. He was complaining about everything. So he was complaining about me. He was complaining about his car. So, you know.
Right, but Lyft is not complaining. Lyft is actually on your side and is going to make it right according to these messages. And they had nothing to do with this. Like, for example, I have employees. Now, if I have an employee and my employee does something, then I'm responsible for it. But if I have an independent contractor that's just doing stuff for Vlad TV and they do something crazy, that's really out of my hands. Mm-hmm. They are on their own. Mm-hmm. So it seems to me that you should be suing the driver and not Lyft, because I don't.
And again, he's trying to explain this her, you know, you see the gerbil going on in her brain right now. Essentially, this man is his own, he is his own employee. And so all the expense of his job is on him. He gets paid by Lyft or a subsidiary company of Lyft, I guess, by maybe a second or third party. He is affiliated with Lyft, but he doesn't necessarily work for Lyft. He works for himself through Lyft. You get what I'm saying? And that's the same for DoorDash or anybody else. They don't necessarily work for the company. They work for themselves, but they are affiliated or is associated with said company. Got it?
Lyft really has to do with it. Now, they may settle based on bad publicity and so forth, but to me, it doesn't really appear like Lyft is really responsible for your situation. I'm not happy about your situation. I think it's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I just feel like this is a driver problem, not a Lyft problem.
Thank you for an opinion.
Okay, let's run that back because this lets you know that everything before and after this statement is her. And if you watch the video, once he's done with his statement, she's going to smile and then she's going to scratch the back of her head or her weave, whatever. And she's going to say, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for your opinion means I don't care.
Bitch, ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way.
Means screw what you talking about. That's simply what it means. And, you know, as Donovan Sharp would say, womanese.
I just feel like this is a driver problem, not a Lyft problem.
Thank you for your support and opinion.
Okay.
There you go. Fair
now,
enough.
with the whole car situation, I mean, this was what, like a Mercedes 250 or something like that? Like a relatively small Mercedes?
What was it? It was a Benz. It was, yeah.
Like
right. But it wasn't like a G-Wagon or, you know, an SUV or anything else like that.
No.
Now, the driver seemed actually concerned that, you know, that something might happen to his car. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, I mean, this is not, when you look at this Lyft driver, this is not like a, you know, this is not like Lyft Black, you know, which has like the high-end cars and everything else like that. It's Uber Black. I guess Lyft has probably something similar. So it's not a huge car. This guy is not rich. He has a relatively entry-level car. He's probably scraping by. And from...
Do you think that she cares about that?
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care. Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch.
She just, all she cared about was getting to where she wanted to go. All right. And as she might explain here in the next few moments, she's been in cars like that before, so she didn't see it being a problem. And it shouldn't have been a problem. Well, Dank, I hate to inform you, but all cars are made the same, but they don't always perform the same, depending on who's driving it, depending on what conditions it's been in, depending on how many miles it's gone in, so on and so forth. Just because you might have been in somebody else's car that actually doesn't mean that that car was suited for your, the type of person you are, okay? Maybe they just didn't care. So they said, come on, hop in, let's go. Other people might look at it as like, oh no, you can't ride with me for obvious reasons. So just because, again, what they say, the exception doesn't prove the rule, or the exception proves the rule doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So you might have rode with them in that same type of car and it was cool, but that doesn't mean that it was actually a good idea.
I saw from his point of view, I think he was actually concerned about something potentially happening to his car.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to DJ Vlad. I mean, he's using very good language here, and he's not skipping a beat with asking these questions. And they're trying to explain himself in a way that's respectful and not, hitting any rails here with with describing what type of person she is. And he's doing a very good job at that.
Can you see his side of the story as well?
She cannot.
I see my side because if it.
You know what that means?
Nope.
Well, can you see his side? I see my side.
Nope.
Let's run that back one more time. Do you see his side?
Nope.
Can you see his side of the story as well?
I see my side because if it was like 5 girls that added up to my weight, he would still allow them in his car, and I didn't reach the car's capacity.
Have you read the technical manual on this car to know what the to know what the full capability of this car was? No, you probably did not. Again, you probably just assumed because you've been in other cars that may be of similar size, or in that same car of a different owner with similar size, that you felt, well, what's the problem again? So your reasoning is in your own bubble, but not in the larger scope of everyone else that doesn't know you.
Well, probably not 5 girls. I mean, it's a small Benz.
Yeah, definitely
3 girls, maybe 4.
I don't know, like 4 and 1 in the front seat.
Yeah,
1 in the front
5.
seat, maybe 3 in the back, so 4.
Yeah, I
Excuses.
feel like 4 in the back, 1 in the front. Yeah.
Right, but when the weight is at one side, that potentially could damage the car. Like, I mean, I'm just, I'd like to just address both sides because from his point of view, it didn't seem like he was trying to be mean. He wasn't calling you names. He wasn't, insulting you. I think he was concerned about, if you're driving Lyft, that means that you don't really have a lot of money and you're, driving on the side in order to, make some extra money to pay your bills and so forth. I think it's fair to look at both sides of the situation. You see what I'm saying? Like you're here, you're telling your side. He's not here to tell his side. So,
and if he was there to tell his side, do you think she would actually give a damn?
Nope.
Shout out to DJ Vlad for being fair. He's trying to be even and unbiased in the conversation. Okay, well, this is how you feel, but once you look at it from his side, with his car, with his income, with his situation, maybe he will. And again, he was being respectful to you. Don't you see his side a little bit? Even that doesn't mean you can't continue on with the lawsuit, or that doesn't mean that you didn't feel disrespected, maybe. But there is 2 sides to this, and if you sit back and look at it, she doesn't see that though.
Trying to keep a balanced conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, what I feel is, I think he was concerned because he has a little side gig, that his side gig might get affected because if something does, and this is what I'm saying between employee and contractor. If he was an employee for Lyft, then Lyft would own that car. So if something happened, he would go to Lyft and say, hey, listen, I have a problem with my car, go fix it. Like, for example, if you work for a taxi company or so forth. But with Lyft, you own your own car.
Mm-hmm.
If you're taking someone on a ride.
Oh, by the way, you know how most of DJ Vlad's interviews are like hour and 2-3 hours long, maybe? This entire interview is behind a paywall, but it's only like 30-something minutes. It's only like 30, 35 minutes long. So they didn't talk very long. She looks, if you watch the video, she looks actually very annoyed at this point. She's got her hand on her hip, kind of. Her face is becoming more stern. She's taking a defensive posture, in my opinion, which means this interview probably didn't last long because of the fact that he's trying to be fair.
and let's just say the person smashes out your window, Lyft has nothing to do with this. That's on you. So, I feel like, on his side that he actually, I think he was just trying to protect his own business at that time. Now, unfortunately, I don't like the way it turned out, but I think that I don't think there was any sort of bad intentions on his end.
Okay. Nobody is used to like big people being out. Like you have to be prepared for us.
Okay, so here goes the argument of, well, he was being nice, but you should have been prepared for all situations. Like he drives around somebody like you every day to where he's going to be prepared for some. We out now. Here's the conversation of, well, we're out now, and people should be prepared for us now because we're more vocal and more into society. So people should be prepared for us. And I believe the argument is going to come up at the end of this. The argument is going to come up about airplane seats, because she's going to say that she flies for a particular airline and she gets a free second seat because of the type of person she is. And he's going to ask her, is that fair? And that's going to be another conversation, another quick conversation, which she doesn't care because she thinks that people should be accommodating her. Like most people that are like her, they think that people should, cater to them essentially because of, their condition.
As well. Like it's probably not normal to the world to see people like me, like doing things, requesting lifts and, and stuff like that. So I just feel like people need to prepare for us and, expect us. We here.
Listen, I think it's great that you're out. And I think you're very brave for what you're doing and putting yourself out there. I saw you on The Breakfast Club. I've seen you perform, you put out music. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. And I think you're setting an example for a lot of people because not everybody weighs 90 pounds. You know what I'm saying? When you look throughout the world, people have all different, weights and so forth. I think a lot of people admire you, and I think you're going to influence a lot of people to get out the house and do more things, and, girls to do their makeup and their hair and get fly and put on some buffs and everything else like that because you're from Detroit. But, but at the end of the day, you have those rights, but you also have to work around other people's situations as well. Like, so for example,
and here, I think this is where we're going to get into the airline thing here in a few short moments. But the whole thing about, well, we're out and all that kind of stuff is like, I just don't get it. I mean, this is the same argument, and there's a third part to this interview, which I won't cover. But she actually compares herself to the rainbow community, like as far as like discrimination and other aspects of people that's like her. It's like, here's the thing. She wants everybody to accommodate. She feels, and people like her feel, that we should accommodate her. So does that mean we should start making cars wider? We should start making planes bigger? We should start making door frames wider? We should alter every part of our life physically for somebody in your condition. And that is ridiculous because people that are in your condition aren't the majority of society. And that's what people don't understand. We're not going to, and people in different lifestyles and other people in different, whatever you do, you have to understand you're not the majority of society. Now, if you were the majority, then we would have to make accommodations for you. But because you're not the majority, we keep the status quo in society and culture. But people don't understand that. They think that we're supposed to change the majority of society for a small number of people. They're not going to do that. And that goes for the African American community as well. We're not the dominant society. They're not going to change for us. They have accommodated us to a certain degree, but at a certain point that stops, and everybody knows that. And that goes for pretty much every society that's not the United States of America. We're not the dominant society. If it were different, things would probably be different, but it's not. And until it changes, we got to work around the systems, all right? And not to put my RBG hat on, but that's what it is.
Fly, certain airlines give you an extra seat.
I fly Southwest. They give me a free seat. They give anybody my size a free extra seat.
Okay. And Delta as well?
The last time I drove Delta, I drove first class and I had my own seat and I was fine.
Of course.
Okay.
I didn't need an extra
You had
seat.
your own seat.
Okay. Yeah, well, first class is, yeah.
Yeah.
So from your point of view, do you think it's fair that an airline gives you an extra seat that you ultimately didn't pay for?
Yeah.
Or should they be charging you for that extra seat?
I feel like it's fair.
Why is that?
It just is. Like, if that's them, if they want to give their customers.
Why is it fair? It just is. Come on.
Ain't no fucking way.
Why is it fair? It just is, right? It should be, right? That's what we're talking about here, basically. Amazing.
Receipt because of how big they are, then thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I think it's a nice gesture.
You
Yeah.
appreciate
You know,
it?
but you could look at it both ways. You could look at it as, well, it's a full flight and they could have sold that seat to someone else, but
Does she appreciate it or does she feel entitled to it?
they give you a free seat. And I think they're doing it to send a positive message. But from a business point of view, they're ultimately losing a little bit of money as well.
That's them. You know,
that's them. So
that's what they
right?
want to do.
So
you know,
what?
I'm pretty sure they can regulate if they have like a full flight, you know. So
Yeah. Crickets. Well, as you can see, this woman does not give a damn about what y'all think. She thinks that we should accommodate her and people like her. She thinks that she's entitled to stuff because she's, she's, as they say, existing. Yeah. And Lyft's going to pay her a ton of money because they don't want bad publicity or more money than she has right now, right? And so here we are. And there's more lawsuits coming like this because, yeah, inclusivity, basically. And I should cover this one story with this woman. You know what? I'll save that for another video. With that being said, thank you for taking another episode of the Working Man Podcast. I am your host, Nicholas J. Fury. Let me know what you think about this cholesterol challenged woman that has no sense of self-accountability or any type of self-awareness. She just wants her money and she wants people to accommodate her, right? Let me know what you think about it down in the comment section. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and the notification bell. We're out of the door, and I will see you on the next video.